Oh, awesome. Well, welcome to the webinar on getting started in consulting. A couple of housekeeping things. Just please, turn off all your cell phones, turn off all notifications, your email. Stay hydrated, keep energetic, and also stay till the very end because you'll hear about all the special bonuses and offers that we have for you guys, select few of you guys that joined on today. And also, if you could type all your questions and your comments in the chat box and keep your mics on mute. So a quick disclaimer, all of this is just based on my personal experience, and I'm just sharing it with you, offering value to help you guys on your consulting journey. It's just for educational purposes. I'm not licensed as financial, tax, a legal advisor, and also there's no personal guarantee of results or success. But I found that if you take the information and apply it and you take more action, you get more results. And then you again are responsible for your own actions. Okay, so we're gonna learn in this webinar, we're gonna go over consulting, what the field is, what exactly is a consultant, how you can use consulting to enhance your goals, getting started, some of the top skill sets needed to set you apart from the crowd and also to guarantee your success. And then a little bit of pearls of wisdom from my personal experience, from my clients' experience, a lot of success stories. And then you'll hear about the program that we have for you guys. And then I'll leave the final section for, your live Q&A questions. So what I did was I curated a lot of the questions that you guys sent to me, and then I compiled it into some of the top 3 questions to help you guys get started. And then, but I'll let you guys at the very end ask very specific and focused questions. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit, 5-10 minutes short intro. I'm gonna do like 15-20 minutes of pure value add content. And then you'll hear about 5-10 minutes of the bonus program. And then I'll leave the last 10-15 minutes for your own personal questions. So, all right, video off. So I came from very humble beginnings. From an early age, all through high school, I was always the outsider. I was very entrepreneurial, and a series of events happened to me beginning when I was 11 years old. I grew up with a lot of uncertainty. So that uncertainty prepared me for a lot of the opportunities post 9/11 in 2008, and now COVID-19. So I learned that the only way to create that amount of certainty were 4 realizations. One, I was never going to be dependent upon anyone or anything. I had to be able to create my own success and my own freedom. So I wasn't going to depend on a job, the government, Social Security. I wasn't going to depend on a boss or a corporation. So that led me to always have a backup plan. So diversify my income sources. Right now I have 8 to 9 sources of income. So in these days of age, not only do you have to diversify your assets, but you have to diversify your sources of income. 3, always have multiple streams of passive income. Passive meaning that you get paid whether you work or not. And I learned that to be financially successful, that would solve a lot of your problems. It's not going to solve all of it, but it will solve, it will give you the resources to solve some of your other problems. So I want to take a quick poll from you. Raise your hands. You can type it in the chat box. How many of you grew up with the story, work hard, go to school, get good grades so you can get a good job? You can type that in the chat box. Okay, I see a lot of people saying yes, me. a lot of majority of people here, we grew up with that story. And in a way, we have a lot of skill sets as physicians that can both help and hinder us when it comes to looking for alternative careers. So I'm going to go over the skill sets that will make us successful when looking for alternative careers. I'll also go over some of the mindsets that limit us when we're trying to transition. And a lot of you're going to have to find which skill sets will help you propel you and which skill sets and mindsets hinder you, and you have to work on those. And also through my coaching program or through my clients, I help them identify limiting beliefs and help them with their mindsets. So I went to Baylor for medical school. I went to Rice University. I was part of the MD PhD program, got a PhD in bioengineering. And my entrepreneurial venture started during my second year of medical school when I was focused on real estate and stocks. And I spent 4 years growing those companies to the point where by the time I was 29 years old, that was my last year of medical school, I had achieved financial freedom. And so I didn't really have to work for anybody, and sort of medicine became my backup plan. Nevertheless, all of my mentors and all my close associates all strongly encouraged me to pursue the conventional route. So I remember going through the list of all of the specialties and not really particularly enthusiastic or passionate about any of them, but I settled on orthopedics because that was just the highest paying profession. So I matched into that at Rutgers. And then just the 40 plus hours and the 120 plus hour work weeks, it was just, I wasn't in control of my time or my life. I was trading my life for money. So on the day that Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, I mustered up the courage, walked into my chairman's office and resigned on the spot. And so that allowed me the freedom to go out and create my future and my life. So I'm trying to share that with you today. I became a full-time real estate entrepreneur in 2008 to 2016. I achieved the FIRE in my mid-30s. And then by investing in single-family residences and condominiums. And then I then took a sabbatical to really contemplate what would make me fulfilled. So that's why I started my consulting company. And I'm going to share with you the knowledge and the tips and the secrets on how I did that. I'm now a TEDx speaker. I write regularly for Kevin MD. I've written 4 books. I've been a speaker at the Seek and Passive Income MDs Leverage and Growth Summit. I have my own online course, private Facebook group, and also an advisor to an early stage AI-based healthcare startup. So, and I'm doing these, I host these webinars and masterminds throughout the year. I do a lot of private coaching, but because my time is limited, I've started to do more webinars and online boot camps so that makes it's more efficient and I can scale my time and effort and I can help more clients and I can take them from where they currently are to where they want to be. And that's the best way I've seen to both leverage and scale my time and efforts. Yeah. So I want you guys to take a look at this chart of the Dow over the last 3 months. And we are living in unprecedented times. So in no time in history are we living with such uncertainty in terms of our future, our incomes, jobs, our security, our well-beings. Recently after COVID-19, we have these riots now, and in particular, we see the medical profession getting taken over by managed care, and now a lot of private equity is starting to take over these physician practices. So what you're going to see is that with uncertainty comes opportunity, and you're going to see that this next decade, the people that start to take action and start to diversify the income streams and start to learn more and start to think outside the box are going to flourish. And it's going to be the decade of the creative entrepreneur. So In particular, you're going to see that our profession right now is our autonomy, independence, authority is eroding. Managed care, the government, insurance companies are all commoditizing our skill set, knowledge, and labor, making us easily replaceable. So at the peak, for example, COVID-19, hospitals needed physicians, but they couldn't afford to pay them. So they were asking for volunteers. At the same time, they were furloughing and firing physicians. On top of that, the higher ups, they were working remotely and walking away with millions in bonuses. So in this age, we have to get smarter. We have to start thinking better. Medicine is the only profession that I know of where it's just a linear path, and it's like you get on the path and you do certain things to make you successful, but that's not going to be very relevant in the next 10 to 20 years. So the only job certainty that we have today is that we have to create our own job certainty. And consulting is the best way to be doing that. So now is the best time to be considering and building alternative streams of income, particularly in consulting. So I'm going to start a poll here. Where is everybody in terms of their career journey? Still working, looking to diversify my income streams, not working, need to diversify my income streams, or already have multiple streams of income. So it looks like majority are still working and looking to diversify my income streams. And this is the best position to be in because consulting is a great field. Either you want to go out on your own or you can create your own niche within your existing ecosystem. Not working, need to diversify my income streams. We're gonna work with you. The better prepared you are, the more successful you'll be. And then 7% already have multiple streams of income, so that's fantastic. And so you're thinking outside the box. You're getting ready. You're getting prepared, and you're going to flourish when the opportunities come. All right. All right, so now we're going to get into the idea of what is a consultant. Broadly, I just put this definition, is a person who provides expert advice or opinion. So a consultant is almost like a liaison. He or she gives their advice or opinion to different parties in order to achieve particular outcomes. So in one way, you're sort of like what Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins describe as knowledge brokers, so knowledge consultants or knowledge reporters. So you're basically transferring knowledge between different parties and getting paid in the process. So let's start another poll here, and I'm going to ask each of you, where are you in your consulting journey? One is, I have no clue where to start, need help, or I have a fair idea and just looking to learn more. Okay, so the majority are no clue. I have no idea where to start. I need help. So you're perfect because you're the perfect people that I can work with because I can mold and shape and work with your mindsets and your skill sets and develop a personalized strategy for you. Um, the others, for example, the ones that have more experience, I can work with you in terms of your consulting idea or your plan and how to best strategize, how to best put it forward, and how to best implement it. So let's go through the different types of consultants here. So the beautiful thing about the different types of consultants is there's so many. The field is so broad. So as I said, you're like an intermediary. So a couple of the niches that you can potentially think about in transitioning in terms of your medical background is you can be an expert witness. So a lot of physicians, they leverage their knowledge of best practices and they consult for either defense or prosecution attorneys, and they get paid very well for it in terms of cases. It can also help you in your practice once you go back so that you can best advocate for those practices and avoid getting sued yourself. If you're interested in research and writing, there's medical science liaison. So that's a consultant where you're consulting for various research projects, various articles. Sometimes you're covering events, you're writing, you're creating videos and things like that. There's file review, pharma, medical device, pretty much anything where there's a niche or a need, and pretty much it's going to depend on how well you think outside the box, how well you leverage your opportunities and your skill sets and your network. So the more creative you can be, the more successful you'll be. And pretty much there's no limitation in terms of field or niche that you can potentially pursue. I've also known physicians that do, for example, they start wellness spas. They're into IV hydration, the vitamins, CBD. There's a lot of wellness. There's athletic performance. There's coaching. There's so many. So that's the beauty of it. You have such a great skill set. You have great education, experience, knowledge. We all take care of patients. We're all treating patients, so that you can leverage those skill sets into different niches as a consultant. So here's I'm going to go into the most common question that I got from my audience was, what can I consult on? So what I recommend is a consulting career isn't going to be a straight linear path that we're all used to, where you go through residency, fellowship, get your job, and that sort of thing. Consulting job and a career is going to be, one, you have to get your foot in the door. Two, you're going to have to start small and you're going to have to work your way. There's going to be a lot of rejection, a lot of no's. So part of my program is where I take the client and do an assessment, work on their mindsets, then transform their skill sets and come up with a strategy, and then we make it permanent so that when they go forward in the next years, they'll be prosperous and successful. The other thing is, the beauty of consulting is that it's a perfect fit for entrepreneurs, self-employed, if you go out on your own. If you're going to stay within your hospital or your department or your particular specialty, you can always develop a niche brand within that. So the other question I get is from the big name firms. Being a freelance consultant is a lot different than working for McKinsey, Accenture, and Deloitte. So a lot of my colleagues, they work for those big name firms, but the focus here is more on developing a consulting niche that you can create on your own and go out on your own. It's extremely flexible. So as a physician, you can go out or you can stay within your existing ecosystem. okay? Pretty much anything you can think of, you can consult on. Um, so I want to go into some of the mindsets that hold us back. So one is, as physicians, I hear a lot, I'm only good at patient care. Two is that I'm not good at anything, or I don't know what to do. And all of these mindsets really are, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because what it is that we're so used to pleasing people and being yes, and just because we're altruistic, so we get taken advantage of by the bureaucrats in the system. So a lot of these self-deprecating mindsets, we have to really identify them, and once we identify them, we have to learn how to manage them or get rid of them. Okay, a lot of it is just sort of ingrained in our profession, in our mindsets. The other thing is that as physicians, you know, we're the straight A students, and we're got the highest grades and all the test scores, but the world, those who succeed are those who are who can employ and leverage their skill sets in a much more efficient and effective way. So, you know, working for someone isn't really going to get you where you need to be. You need to start thinking as an entrepreneur, as a businessman or a businesswoman, how to create your own streams of income so that you become less reliant upon people and jobs and things like that, okay? But there's also mindsets that we've developed as physicians that can really, really help us in terms of in our careers, particularly consulting. So one is, we're very driven, we're goal-oriented, we're hardworking, you know, we are honest, we're trustworthy, we do good, we're highly educated, we're highly trained, we save people's lives. So all of these types of mindsets we need to take, and we need to harness them, and we need to really ingrain them into our identities, so that when the time comes, we're able to leverage that instead of you know, self-deprecating ourselves and holding us back. Okay, so the next question I get is, where do I even begin, or how do I get started? Okay, so that's pretty much 80% of everybody, and that's a great question. And I'm glad that every single one of you took the action to come in to try and learn more. Okay, so one is you have to have something invested. So you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to YouTube, but those are just supplements. You really have to have someone to either show you the ropes, or have like an online course. But you have to have some sort of investment in a systematic process. When I first started out in 2008, when I went out as a full-time entrepreneur, that was back in 2008, there were no physician coaches. The first physician coach came around 2010, which was Heather Ford. And, you know, when she came, like, it was 150 per hour for one session. If I had done that back in 2008, I would have saved me 2 to 3 years off of my learning curve. Okay, so that's the sort of thing. You have to have someone who can see from the outside that can help you. Okay, now I'm going to go through some of the mindsets or personality traits to help you get started. Okay, so first thing you have to realize is that once you understand consulting is not just a straight linear path, and it's pretty much open to any opportunities that you can create, figure out your interest and your passion. And what really set me apart was that I developed a skill set that I could be the best at, which was to leverage my personal brand, leverage my experience, and to share it and give it back to you guys. So, and that's what sets me apart from all of the others. That's why I have raving fans. That's why I have people that come to me, because I have a very inspiring story, and I really want to share and give it back to others. Because back in 2008, I was all alone up until about 2016 when all of these groups came. So we live in this world where there's so much information and content. It's fantastic, but we have to implement and take action on that information. Okay. If you guys are interested in staying within your existing ecosystem, ask yourself, what skills do you have that you can leverage within your existing ecosystem? So is it networking? Is it have a particular legal slant? Are you good at writing? Are you good at speaking? Are you good at creating videos, educational content? There's so many different niches and avenues. So you have to figure out how you best want to contribute and add your own personal slant to that, okay? What expertise can you best leverage? Whether that's surgical, it can be medical, pharma, all of these will help you on your way, okay? I won't sugarcoat it. In the beginning, starting out is going to be hard. It took me about 6 months to a year of knocking on doors before I got my first huge consulting client. Before that, it was all just word of mouth and getting my foot in the door, leveraging my brand, my network, my expertise, giving a lot of value, learning, but at the same time, there were a lot of no's. I got a lot of rejections. Sometimes people didn't respond to my phone calls or emails. So in the beginning, for the first year, it's going to be tough. But once you get your mindset and your business and your brand going, it compounds on itself. So the second and third year, last year I was able to, work only 3 months out of the year for the brand and the experience, and the rest of the year I spent investing the money in personal investments. So you have to really go at it with passion, and you have to be able to just tolerate rejection. I know as physicians, it's always anything where it's like you're rejected, it's a negative thing. But in the business, in the entrepreneurial world, rejection is actually a good thing because it accelerates your learning. Okay. And then the question is, what skills do I need to be successful as a consultant? And okay, so one thing is for your mindset. Like I said, you have to have outside the box thinking. You have to be creative. You have to spot opportunities. So whenever you spot things like COVID-19 or the financial crisis or 9/11, you have to be thinking opportunity instead of running away in fear. So that's the one thing that sets very successful consultants apart from the rest. They're always looking for the opportunities within the turmoil, okay? A lot of successful consultants are innovative. They're forward thinking. They think outside the box. They're able to create value. That's one thing, is be able to spot and create value as opposed to just working for the income, okay? Here are some key skill sets that really helped me as a consultant. Number one is networking. Jim Rohn or someone said that your net worth is your network. So if you have a strong network, you're able to draw upon that. You're able to draw upon that skill set, that experience, those contacts, and it's going to give you an edge up over someone who doesn't have as strong of a network. So that helped me in the beginning. So developing a strong network and also a strong platform, okay? Communication skills, especially speaking, public speaking, presenting, writing, just networking in person. The better communication skills, the better customer relationship skills you have, the more successful you're going to be. Because as a consultant, you have to be able to communicate ideas effectively in a very succinct manner, in a very empathic manner, okay? And then the consultants that will really thrive in the next decade are those that are good with technology, social media, branding, and also influencing and persuading people. So those are some of the key skill sets that I've developed to be successful, and that I think that are really crucial to make it as a consultant. Okay, and also notice that there's nowhere where it's like an academic or skill set, because academic skill sets will get you in the door and things like that, but these skill sets will take you to the next level. Okay. So I want to leave some extra time for open Q&A. So feel free to, you know, type them in the chat box. And I'm just going to do a little bit of transition here. So 2020, we've seen a ton of disruption, and it's not going to get any better. As I've stated, 2020 to 2030 is going to be the decade of the creative entrepreneur. And that's the one who's going to really flourish and thrive, because we're now at an age where the industrial age ideas and all the practices are becoming obsolete. So it's up to us to take the information. We have to adapt, we have to innovate and change, or we're going to become irrelevant. So we've seen it with COVID-19. We've seen it with AI, with blockchain. All of these things are going to really revolution and transform our society today. So it's really up to us to really embrace those change and adapt, because if we face those changes with fear, then we're just going to basically be reverting back to our primal selves. Okay. A little bit about, I'm just going to go briefly introduce you to how my thinking of working with clients is. So the assessment, I take a good snapshot of where your current situation is, your mindset, how you think, your personal situation, and then I come up with a plan, a transformation, a strategy to move forward, and then we solidify it so that it becomes permanent and that you're able to go out and be successful. So I started doing this with single clients, but because my time was so limited, I started to do it in groups. So for example, this live Q&A webinar, I had over 100 people. So it was better just to do it all for the 100 people in 1 hour, as opposed to 1 hour individually. So that's how I like to think about it. If you really want to go to the next level, if you enjoyed this talk, I'm giving more webinars, so just stay tuned. I have you on my email list. My next webinar will be on TEDx speaking and Airbnb and networking. So I'm hosting a 4-week online consulting bootcamp for July to August, only taking 10 spots. So it'll just be 4 weeks. It'll be 4 weeks of 1 hour group coaching calls and weekly assessments. It's usually an $800 value, but for the price today, it's $148. You're going to be introduced into my private Facebook group. You're also going to get access to my educational videos and resources. And then I also send all of my clients copies of all 4 of my personal books to them just for free. So, and then you also have access to me and my team. You can always contact me, ask me questions such as, how did I get my first consulting gigs and things like that. So, for today, for you, I'm offering it for $148. It'll increase to $272 tomorrow. So, if you're interested, I only have 10 spots, so I'm going to keep that. And I'd like to leave that up, and then please and offer any sort of questions from the live feed. So Nilesh says, how does a UK physician transitioning into consulting approach US-based firms? That's a great question. So a lot of it is I've only worked with U.S. based firms, so I don't really have and I haven't done any international. But like I said, a lot of it is getting getting your foot in the door. So if you know, for example, if you know somebody within a firm or a particular industry, it's all through. It's going to be all success in this sort of endeavor is all going to be through warm introduction, warm contact. So a lot of networking. So I went to a lot of conferences and I went through a lot of, I did a lot of uh, networking through LinkedIn and through Facebook. So things like that. But as a UK physician, if you don't have any contacts within US based firms, it's going to be quite difficult to unless you know somebody within that field. Let's see here. We have let's see here. Natalie Newton says, "How do you approach companies when you go door to door? Cover letter." So the way I do it is I like to do it all. I have a resume and I also have my CV and also a cover letter. So especially in consulting, a cover letter is extremely important because what it is a cover letter. You have to have like your introduction, and then you have to have um, your goals, what you're looking for, and how you'll best fit within the company. So cover letter. Also, like I was telling Nilesh, if you know people within the industry, or if you know somebody who can put a good in word for you, that also helps as well. But a lot of it's you have, like I said, you have to. A lot of it's through email, through LinkedIn, through email, and just you have to knock on a lot of doors. Okay. Johnny put in a question, but it got erased. I was wondering if he can repost the question. Violet says, "How do you decide what niche to consult in?" So, like I said, on the first question was talking about what can I consult on. So a lot of that's personal preference. A lot of that's personal, what you're good at, all of your different your skill sets. So may I ask what specialty or what field are you in? Yeah, so that's going to be again it's your what you're good at, your skill sets, what you're interested in, and what niche you are. That's going to be a personal thing. That's not going to be something sort of, and that's something that where a coach or a mentor or a program can help you with. Oh, Okay, so Johnny put in this question. Have you done work for corporations? What size corporations is a good target? That's great. So all of my consulting have been for hospitals. Um, in particular, Johnny, are you talking about marketing or operational or managerial corporations, or are you talking about healthcare corporations? Yeah, so in terms of Johnny's question, what is a good starting point at these companies to pitch first? So non-healthcare. Okay, so most of my consulting clients have been through healthcare, but how I did it was I get through my network and my contacts. I I knew the CMIO, I knew the CIO, so I I got my foot in the door through that way, and I had a proposal, and I would pitch it to them as well as to the executive team and the leadership, and and if they had for example the proposal, the concept, the budget, the goals and objectives, the strategies, the potential pitfalls, and it was almost like a 1 hour pitch to them, and if they took it, then I got the contract. But a lot of it is you're gonna have to, like I said, a lot of it starting out. For example, when you first start out, you're going to have to um, sometimes you're going to have to work for another consulting firm to get your foot in the door. And once you get bigger and bigger, and once you build your brand, then you can continue. Then you can go out on your own. Then you'll start developing a good reputation, a good solid skill set, and from that point, people will start coming to you. Okay, let's see here. So Heng says, how do you decide your hourly rate once you get a consulting gig? Okay, that's a great question. So for example, right now my hourly rate for consulting is 300 to 400 per hour. So that's after a lot of years of experience. Okay, when I first started out, I was doing it for 100, 120, which is usually a pretty good, which is an okay hourly rate. But like I said, you don't want to go too low because there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of experience, there's a lot of missed opportunity that you have to endure. So you at least start out like 100 to 150 at first. You have to pitch it, and as you increase your value and as you increase your brand, as people get to know you better, you can start increasing your rates. But starting out 100, 150 per hour is acceptable. And I know, for example, a lot of the more experienced, the well-known consultants, they 500, 600 per hour. So it's very lucrative, but those take time to build up. Okay. So Armina says, I'm a pathologist. Are my options limited as I don't practice clinical medicines? Actually, pathology is actually one of those where you can actually leverage your background, because pathology has a really solid research background. So you can consider things such as medical science liaison. For a lot of pathology, for example, forensics, they can go out as forensic pathology and leverage their brand experience and skill set in the forensic world, offer their advice in there. I'm not trained as a pathologist, but if you think about terms of field and potential where you want to go, that's great as well. Actually, thank you to the people that have signed up for the 4-week online consulting boot camp. So thank you for that, and we'll be in touch. We're going to get you better on your way towards your goals. Johnny asks, do any of the big firms allow part-time work? That's I know, for example, well, I'll tell you from my personal experience. So when I was practicing clinical medicine, I started my consulting gig on the side. I was just doing these consulting gigs, once or twice a year, which was just for extra income. So in terms of that, you can go part time. You can go you can do, and then you can slowly build and grow your brand to where I grew it to where I was doing it full time. So I'm not really sure if Accenture and Deloitte hire part-time consultants, because I know a lot of their consultants are full-time and on staff and things like that. But I know as a if you're a medical doctor or practicing, you can start a consulting practice on the side, as long as your employer and your hospital allow it, and then you can build from there. So. All right. Well, if there were, I really enjoyed my time with you guys. I really enjoyed sharing. Thank you so much for the people that signed up. Look forward a follow-up email with the recording. And if you missed out on the offer, don't worry. I'll send out another email with the link. I look forward to working with you. You can all look out for also for future webinars. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me at Christopher Liu, mdphd@gmail.com. Okay. Thanks so much, everybody.